All right, we're recording. Welcome back to The Dilemma with Emma and Brian
Burn.
Burns. And our favorite guest ever.
Jamie! Hi, how are you? I'm
Good.
so excited to be here. Thank you.
Of course, we're so excited to have you. And we want you to give just a little brief introduction as to who you are, how we might know you, how you got into what you're doing.
So my name is Jamie, and I have been in sales for about 12 years now. And before that, I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. So uh, I decided to get back into, after being a stay-at-home mom, get back into the workforce. And the company I currently work for, I support other salespeople. And one of the people I supported in the past was Brian Burns. So who was one of my favorite sales reps to support, and his lovely daughter, who is my work daughter at my current company. And they invited me onto the show, and I'm very happy to be here. So thank you for having me on.
To have you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we're excited to have you. And I think today we want to kind of dive into just working with and supporting multiple people. So kind of like you discussed, like how to manage it. We kind of talked prior to starting the conversation, but you said right now you manage 7 people, which can be a lot.
Yes.
So yeah, just how you do it. And
Well, originally I was working with 3 people, 3 to 4 people, and then this fiscal year, I started supporting 7 people, which definitely has been more challenging than working with the 3 or 4 people in the past. As you know, dealing with 7 people, you have 7 very different personalities, and these are salespeople. So, but being in sales myself, I understand what they're looking for, what the challenges are in their organization, and what they're trying to accomplish in the end, which is to sell the software product and to make money. That's why we're in sales. So it's a lucrative business, but it's a very difficult job, and not everybody's cut out to do it. But at the end of the day, I've been doing it for a long time, and I really enjoy it. But dealing with 7 different personality types, you obviously get along extremely well with certain people right from the get-go. You just have that bond that you have right from the beginning over, who knows, The Office, quoting The Office or whatever other TV shows that you love. Or it could be that you struggle to find some type of common bond.
I think our first call, I was wearing a shirt that said Bears beats Battlestar Galactica or something like that, which is a quote from The Office. So that might have been how we hit it off so well.
It's a nice icebreaker,
Exactly.
Which I love. I love The Office, but you're trying to find common ground with people. And that's the same thing. It goes into sales too. You're trying to find that common ground with some stranger you've never met in your entire life. And how can you find something in common and then start kind of building that rapport and that relationship from something that you both have in common? It could be the weather. I've visited such and such place. I love The Office too, whatever it could be. And that's how I try to build relationships with every rep that I'm assigned to, which I've been assigned to over a dozen at this point in the past year and a half. So that's a lot of different personalities. And I try to keep open-minded when I'm with them. And I want to know, can I learn something new from these people? I'm not saying I know everything, and they're not hopefully saying that they know everything, but are we going to find something that we're both, uh, when I talk to them, I'm like, okay, what can I learn from them? And that's what I'm always looking for, because I'm trying to grow. Even though I've been doing this for a long time, I want to grow. And that's how I deal with different people. Brian, when you were working with me or working with other people, what are your thoughts too?
Yeah, so from the other side of that coin, when I'm working with reps that are supporting me, I try to find out, and I probably asked you these questions early on, was what is it that you're incented on? How do you get incented? What is it that your boss wants from you? Because if I can help you achieve your goals, you're going to want to help me achieve mine.
Correct.
And so if that means, a lead comes through, and instead of calling them myself, I let you take it or book the appointment, or I talk to them and then have you call up and follow up. And that way you can get the credit for it, then why not? Because you're working hard and doing the things that you need to do. So if I can do something to, throw something back your way, then of course I'm going to do that. Or if it requires it to get to a certain stage, then I'm going to work really hard to get that deal to that stage at minimum, so that you get credit for that opportunity, or whatever the incentive might be. So that's the kind of the way that I approach it. And I've been in a similar role as yours before as well. And I would try to find out the same thing, like what is it that you want me to do? How do I help you the best, right? Like, what is it that's going to make your life easier or better, or how, what is it that's going to motivate you to work with me, type of thing.
It's a two-way street. So it's not in this case, it's not the Brian Burns or Emma Burns show. It's keeping everybody on your team that you had, because you had a lot of people supporting you, so you could be able to sell your product. It wasn't just you. And I don't think customers or prospects understand exactly what goes on behind the scenes and how much dedication from each person it takes to be able to put together everything. So working together is crucial, especially in this day and age. And you didn't realize that until you got older.
So
Yeah.
how do you
I was just gonna say, I think it's interesting because like what I took away from both of you guys was like you work hard for people who work hard for you, and you both benefited off of it, but it's like learning how to navigate that, and from two very different perspectives, because it's just an interesting dynamic you guys have where Jamie was, working for Ceridian, but she was helping manage your leads along with many others, and it's your accounts you're dealing with, Dad. So yeah, it's just learning to navigate that relationship and how you guys can each grow while she's doing multiple other things.
Right. Yeah, I think and there might be, other things that we can help each other with, whether that's showing them, the other person how to run a report in Salesforce, or maybe, in some cases, Jamie had different access than I had. And so she was able to see things that I couldn't see. So she could look up stuff for me, or help get an account profiled or whatever. And that may not help her, but it helps me. And so then, it's kind of like finding ways to help each other, even if it isn't directly related to what our jobs are.
Right. Or like moving it to the different stages, because that's not something you necessarily have to do like as soon as you can. It's something that many reps take a long time to do, but don't realize that that actually hinders how much we benefit from that lead. So, or from getting paid on it, or the recognition from it. So even doing something like that is,
It's open communication. Constantly keeping up with what's going on with the other person, which I know is difficult, because I know my time, especially working with so many reps, I have a limited amount of time. But if you're letting me know what's going on or what your needs are, then I can say, okay, this is what I can work on, or I can't do that this week. I've got this and this going on, or management has changed something this week, so I have to focus on this. Unfortunately, I can't focus on what your needs are. So have to understand where I'm coming from too.
And that helps me because I know what's on your plate, and I can say, okay, well then either I need to handle that myself, or I need to push it out till next week, or come up with a different strategy.
Right.
Or maybe say, hey, can you just call these two for me, and I'll take care of the rest, and then we work together that way. So so let me ask a question to the both of you. In business and in life, I guess we deal with people that have strong personalities.
Yes.
How do you handle that, and how do you manage to kind of keep it professional and not let it affect you personally?
That's the $1 billion question, I think. Yeah, doing this for over 20 years at this point, you've come across every personality, every type of management type, or sales type, or whomever you're working with at the time. And for me, I want to say almost mimicking that type of person. So if you have a strong personality, then I'm going to come back also strong at you. If you have someone who's a little more laid back, then I'm going to be more laid back. I think you're kind of just reading the person as best you can and seeing what can you do to work with this person, find something in common with them, whatever it could be,
Right.
and then kind of go with it. Because I worked with, just in the past year, I was put on accounts with people because other reps had difficulties working with them, but they put me on so I could work with them, and ended up having a good part. We had a good working relationship. So I think it all depends on the pairings. Sometimes you're not going to be a good pair, other times you are. And that's okay. You're not going to work well with everybody that you're with.
Yeah.
You try to do your best.
Yeah, I think it goes back to just, being professional. I typically try to respond with kindness as much
Yeah,
as I can.
I was just about to say is like what you've always like taught me is kill them with kindness. Like no matter how rude or mean they are to you, it's a reflection of them and how they feel about themselves and what they're doing. So if you treat them with kindness, they can never have anything bad to say about you unless it's made up. So
Well, and you can walk away feeling good, right?
yes,
Because
exactly.
you did the right thing. You handled it the best you could. And you're right, it's a reflection on them if they're not treating you well. And we also, something that we forget sometimes is that we don't know what's going on in people's lives.
Yeah, true.
Many times there's things that are going on. There's a great story, and I'll probably mess it up because we're recording, but there's a story of a woman that's on a bus and she's not paying attention to her 3 children that are just kind of getting rambunctious and making a lot of noise and jumping up and down and not behaving. And someone finally says something to the woman, and she kind of snaps out of it and says, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Their father just passed away, and my mind was somewhere else." And so it's like you just don't know what's going on in someone's life, and so we have to take that into consideration that maybe they're having a bad day, maybe they're having a bad week or month or even a year. But I think you're right in just keeping it professional and killing them with kindness, and like you said, Jamie, just keep it professional and try to find those common grounds, things that we can all agree on, and sometimes just having a connection, even the smallest kind, can make all the difference.
I 100% agree with you. Well, the other thing is I bring it up too, we're in sales. It's such a difficult career to be in.
It is.
And one week you could be patting you on the back going, great job. And the next week they're telling you, listen, you need to work on this, because if not, you're going to be let go. So it's like, they love it, right? Yeah. They love you one week and hate you the next week. Yeah.
Yeah. It is. And we typically, salespeople typically kind of wear that on our sleeve, because we want so bad to do well and achieve the high, as high a level as we can. So
yeah, I think Jamie brought up a good point though, too. It's like you kind of learn to read the room, and if people push, you push back a little bit. Like if they're relaxed, you relax a little bit, and it's not letting people, because sometimes those tendencies of a strong personality push, and instant reaction is like, okay, just kind of like go take the punches. But if you give it back a little bit, then it shows them like, okay, I'm not gonna just do whatever you want without you understanding what my job is and like what my role is, and it's to support you. So I kind of like that too, because I have a hard time like also doing that.
And that's the other part. Okay. That's the other part I was thinking about. Sorry. The other part I was thinking about too was I'm there to support you. I'm not there to, I'm there to help you as best I can. And they have to realize that too. So that's another thing, is the constant communication involved with it. I know there's multiple people that are supporting you, but we all have the end goal is the same thing. Yep. Is to be able to sell the product or service that we're doing and be able to make the customer happy.
Yes.
So that's what our end goal is. So however we achieve that, that's what we're looking for.
Well, I was going to say too that sometimes when you return their kind of strong personality to them, a lot of those types really like that and they respect it when you do it. So they want to see that you're going to kind of be right there with them um, as they come at you, which is kind of weird, but it's like you said at the very beginning, it's different personalities, right? Everyone's different. You got to learn how to deal with them.
And that's
So let me ask
over
you,
20 years. That's a 20 years of
yes.
experience too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You learn.
So in that regard, you're dealing with all these people, and in many ways, you're responsible for achieving goals through them. Like you can't be successful without them. And I think really in sales, we're all that way to some degree. I've got 5 or 6 or 7 people supporting me in some fashion, and if they aren't helping me or they aren't successful, then I'm not successful, and vice versa.
Right.
So how do you handle that? Like, let's discuss that. Like,
That's an
how do you-
interesting one, actually.
Yeah. I think for me, you brought it up at the beginning, Brian, achieving your goals through others, letting them know because my goals are different from their goals. What do I need to be successful? So how are my metrics measured? How is someone in support or helping you with your demos? How are they being measured? So those are all understandings, and that's how we're all going to be successful. But you have to let everybody know up front. And the person you're working with has to, at the end of the day, it has to care. And if that person you're working with doesn't care, that it makes it very difficult then to work together. So it's understanding that. To me, I'm constantly repeating it to whomever I'm working with. Just letting you know, I see you have something going into salute that instant demo. How did that go? Demo went great. Great. Are you going to be moving it on to the next step? Yeah. Well, I just want to let you know that's how I get paid if it moves on to the next step. I didn't know that, Jamie. Let me move that on to you. Or if it's not ready to move on yet, then I understand that because you're being measured by your manager too. Like if you're moving it on, then their expectations are also up here of what is going on. Yes.
Well, I remember another example that was I was sending you these accounts, and you're like, "Yeah, I'll call them for you." And then later I realized those weren't accounts that you got credit for. You were just doing it to be nice, and I appreciated that. But it was helpful once I knew, okay, I'm supposed to give these accounts to this person and these other accounts to you, because those are the ones that you're getting credit for. So there's, I think it all boils down to what you said earlier, which is communication.
My professor in college had the best saying, and to this day, I still remember Professor Neff. So if he ever listens to this, I still think about him. But he always said, as a salesperson, we always like to talk. We're always talking. He said, as a salesperson, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should be listening twice as much as you speak.
Yes.
And it's probably one of the most difficult things I think anybody has to do. But as a salesperson, you have to sit there and listen and really understand what the person is saying and really taking it in, not just saying, You really are taking in and listening to what they're saying and then using that information to present back to the customer. Okay, I heard what you said. This is what we can do for you.
Active listening, right?
Yes, active listening.
Want to give your professor a shout out in case they happen to listen to this?
Dr. Neff from the University of Pittsburgh. I'm still thinking about you even to this day. So
Hey,
one of my best professors.
People that have an impact on our lives, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What about you, Emma? Any thoughts on achieving your goals through others?
Not yet. No, I'm achieving my goals for myself. I'm sure once I get to a place where I am doing something like that or managing people in some way. I guess I kind of did when I was a property manager, is like I knew that I was impacting how well my boss was doing. And so me managing the storage facility was making an impact on the numbers that he would look at and how successful he would be that year. So and I received the recognition. So him giving me the recognition and me doing well for his business was, it kind of went both ways because, we both benefited from it. But I haven't experienced that in sales yet, just being an intern, other than like if I mature a lead. I did mature a lead, and it became like a first call. That first call was then it went really well. So the next would be a demo. So it's really cool to see that happen where I'm just an intern, but I was given a lead that someone else was able to benefit from. And it gave me the confidence that, I can create a first call and have it go well and all of that. So yeah, that's about it. I'm sure I'll get more experience down the line, but I definitely have seen that or have that happen just through other ways.
I think you being involved in your current intern position has been extremely beneficial. I had internships, but I feel like what you've gotten so far has been way beyond whatever I had when I was initially starting out in sales. You're
Yeah.
doing more of what I do now and have done in the past than I did when I was first starting out. And I interned for some pretty large companies before I went into sales. So personally, I think you are way ahead of where your goals are. You're gonna be way ahead of wherever I was. So I'm very
I
impressed
know,
with you. I
same
have
here.
been from day one.
I keep saying I'm going to be reporting to her pretty soon.
I think the same here, but I would be happy to report to you, Emma. So I'm just letting you know.
Thank you, Jamie. I'll keep you'll forever be my work mom though. So
Thank you. Thank you. I'll put it on my resume.
I'll always be reporting to you in some way.
So
We'll be on my LinkedIn.
when we get to a place where we feel like somebody, whether that is a coworker, someone above us, someone below us, that just not working nice, not playing nice, so to speak. At what point do you push back, and how do you do that in a professional way? By the way, Jamie, I wanted to make a comment. I just thought of this.
Yeah.
When you mentioned the two, I've heard the 2 ears and 1 mouth before, and it's a great tool with sales, but it also works in personal relationships, right?
Yes. Right.
Because in our personal lives, we have relationships, whether that's with a significant other or with a parent or a child or a friend. I'm guilty of this where I'll be waiting for them to finish just so I can tell them something rather than actually listening to what they have to say and responding to that. And I think if we take the time to listen a little bit more with everybody we're dealing with, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things too is one of my coworkers does a great job of this. He remembers if you tell him something like just what's going on. I went out to dinner this weekend. I'm going out with a friend. He'll actually he'll be speak to you next week and he'll be like, how was dinner with your friend? And that to me, it says so much more. Or if you're talking to a prospect, oh, I heard how was your daughter's college move-in? You were talking about that, how stressed you were. I think people are looking for the human part of it. And again, I'm always when I'm working with even with my coworkers, I want them to know that I'm still a human being when I'm talking to them or working with them. I'm not just Jamie, they're a support person. I also have a personal life, and I want them to, I know they do have a personal life too. And I just want them to be real with me too and understand where I'm coming from. So when I am having a bad day or if they're having a bad day, I understand that it could be something going on. But you're right. How does it happen when they're pushing back or it's just not working? It's again, to me, it's always been, and Dr. Neff would bring this up all the time too, is you have to communicate with your people. And at the end of the day, if you have communicated with them, you have been open about what's going on, and they're still not understanding it, then that's where you start to have to bring in maybe going to your manager saying, I need help. How can you, maybe there's something I'm missing. Like maybe I'm just not understanding this person's personality, their perspective, any thoughts. And that's where your manager comes in and you bring that tactic back to them. And if that continues not to work, then try something else. But at the end of the day, maybe nothing works, and you two are just not a good match for each other.
Right.
And then that has to be changed too. And nobody's perfect, and things are gonna have to change at
And
some point.
I think
It's okay. It's okay. We're human, right?
It's okay. Yeah, it's right. You're not gonna get along with everybody.
We're not gonna all mesh, right?
No,
Especially in sales, we all have very strong personalities because that's how we're successful.
Bunch of extroverts.
I'm sorry.
We've talked kind of in the past about like fit for a position, and a manager does a really good job at like, making sure not only the job is the right fit for you, but you're the right fit for the job. And so sometimes it's just a simple change in a position that can create all the difference, whether it's like who you're working for. But I think we kind of touched on the topic too when we just talked about reading the room and like just kill them with kindness. Is like when someone's pressuring you, there's only so much you can do to where you have to reevaluate whether the fit is right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
My question to you is, for both of you guys, is how do you manage, like you have multiple accounts you're managing, you have multiple people you're managing. So like on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis, like how do you go, okay, do you do like month plan or anything like that to really like break it down so it's not completely overwhelming?
I have everything on a whiteboard, and I have everything broken down. I also take what's a priority. So if there's something going on, like the dinner, let's say there's like a very big dinner, and that is an absolute priority to get people there or whatever, that's going to take precedence over me calling and saying, hey, we're having this football game that we're inviting you to a month and a half from now. Like, that's just not a priority at this point. So sometimes, or something my management team's like, no, we've designated this as a priority. And again, I always let my reps know that my management team has me focusing on this. I'll have to put these on the back burner, but if I have time, I'll 100% put some focus on this or try to do my best. And make sure they understand how much time I have to dedicate to them.
Right.
At this point, sometimes I only have half a day to dedicate to them. But at the same time, I have to remember I am in meetings too within that week, or I have trainings that I'm going through, or I just, I'm taking off, I have a vacation day, or, my kids are at the doctor. So, I mean, personal life's getting involved. So you have to keep that in mind when I'm doing something. So we're setting realistic expectations. For me, when I'm talking to them on a weekly basis, majority of them usually get it. Others, sometimes it's gentle reminders that I do have a life outside of the company. And yes, I do get paid to be here, but at the same time, sometimes your personal life does go into your professional life, and you do your best to try to maneuver around everything that's going on.
Yeah, I think that's where work-life balance comes into play.
Correct.
So it's nice to have a company that does like support that as well, because it happens with everyone. It's how you create an even workflow so you don't feel like you're so burnt out when and you're setting everything else aside versus learning how to juggle both.
Yeah, for me, the answer I would give is some of the same. Like, yes, I have a whiteboard as well. I have my top accounts that I'm working on the whiteboard, so they're top of mind always. And then I make lists. I set up my work week so that I have sort of Mondays are typically meetings and like internal meetings and prep days. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday or like Tuesday, Thursday are customer or prospect meetings, and then Wednesday I try to do things like prospecting, and I try to work that, like put it in my schedule to either have a day blocked out or have chunks of a day blocked out for doing it. Otherwise, it's so easy to just not do it. And then make lists of things that you need to do. Put it down, or you'll forget it, or at least I will. And then prioritize those things as are these things that need to happen today? And if not, maybe I'll put it in my calendar for next week to address it. And that's kind of how I stay organized with dealing with all the different things that I have to do. And and then leveraging the tools that we have like Salesforce
Mhm.
with the accounts and managing accounts and making sure that you're
Creating tasks maybe
exactly.
for follow-ups, cadences, those are helpful as well.
I agree,
And
100%.
I keep one calendar. I know some
Mhm.
people like to have their personal calendar and their work calendar, but I just keep one so that if I have to be at my son's water polo match because it's a final, a really important game, then it's going to go in my calendar and it's going to block out my time for work and personal. So that way I know I'm going to be there and not going to miss it. Because some of those personal things are very important, and
Mhm.
you want them to you want them to be you don't want to forget because you double book or something like that. At least that's the way I handle it. And then the other thing that I learned early on in sales is sometimes you don't know how to prioritize things. You're not really sure, is this something that's urgent or is this something that can wait? So I would actually take my list and bring it to my boss and say, help me out here. I have all these things I need to get done.
Yeah.
What's more important? Help me prioritize
I
these.
love that.
And that can be real helpful.
Ultimately, you're trying to meet their expectations,
Yes.
so making them the owner of that to-do list goes, okay, so he did that and that was first on the priorities. So clearly he's doing his job.
Yeah, I had a boss that said, it's good to get their fingerprints on it, right? So get people involved that care about what you're doing, and then they're gonna be happy with results because they're the ones that said it should be done this way or done by this time.
Right. Yep.
Emma, one of the things I learned probably in all these years, and wish I had known in my 20s, when I was first starting out, was I thought I knew everything. I thought I could do it all. I wasn't speaking to my manager. I wasn't involving coworkers or taking their expertise, someone who's been doing it a long time. And even now, over 20 years later, that's one thing I learned. And now I'm always like, I probably just go to my manager probably too often. She's probably tired of seeing me, but asking her opinion because she has even more she's been doing this much longer than I have. And my coworkers who are coming from all different backgrounds and finding out what worked in your prior job. And because I don't know. I've always been working in payroll HCM world for pretty much my entire career. So I don't know. And I love that I've learned over the years is, Jamie, you don't know everything and you need to take a step back. You're not that great or that smart. So
I love that. No, I think that's really valuable because sometimes it is easy to just go like, oh, they don't know this, like I know this, or like, I
just came out of college. I know everything,
Exactly. But it really has taught me a whole length of knowledge just even being in the office because I mean, Angelo, I work with Angelo, and he is a wizard at everything Salesforce and the computer in general. Like, you ask him anything, and he has such a quick answer. And I love that because my brain is more like business minded versus like the data of it all. And the way he teaches things is so patient. It's allowed me to like taken just so much and really like value people who, are a lot older than me, but know so much more than me, more than I could.
Well, and the other thing is that I'm learning as I'm getting to be older is that you can't discount people because they don't have as much experience as you.
Yeah.
They may have, they usually have stuff to offer. And so you don't want to discount that just because they don't have the same background as you or as many years as you or whatever. There's always something you can learn from everybody.
Yep.
I agree. I think, Emma, that's the other thing too. I learned so much from you. Your enthusiasm, even when I was down in Florida, I think when I sat there, I was like, my gosh, I was never like this when I was her, but she knows so much more. And at the end of it, I was taking notes myself going, that's a great idea. I've never thought of it from that perspective. So again, I have to look back and be like, I'm not that kid anymore. I've learned over the years everybody has something to contribute, no matter what age, what background, anything. Always listen, because you might be missing a great opportunity that you didn't know was there.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
Well, I
So
feel
we're
like
gonna,
we covered all of our questions, right?
yeah. So how do you want to wrap it up?
Well, I told you you had to ask Amy and I a fun question.
All right, a fun
I'm waiting
question.
for it.
All right, so I'll just do something. Tell me your favorite vacation spot.
Oh,
What was your favorite vacation period? Like where did you go? Why was it your favorite?
I think Jamie froze.
Did we lose Jamie? She doesn't want to answer.
I know. Maybe I should start the answering.
Okay.
Maybe she'll like come back. Um,
No, I'm here. I'm probably, my
okay.
internet's been unstable.
You're back. You want to kick it off, or do you want me to?
Your camera froze,
Oh no.
Jamie. All right, Emma, go ahead.
My favorite vacation spot would have to be, oh, this is tough, but I would say either Paris or the Bahamas. Was so much fun. We went twice to the Bahamas. We went to Atlantis, and I stayed in the same hotel of Michael Jackson, Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, Justin Bieber, like all these famous people. And I was like, as a 10-year-old, I was starstruck without the star being there. I was like, this is my world and everyone's living in it.
Yeah.
And it was just such a cool experience, along with what did I say? Did I say Paris? Yeah.
Yeah.
Paris was just absolutely beautiful. I went with my sister. And it was just, we were walking through what are they? The Tulle Gardens, the Rose Gardens,
Tuileries.
Tuileries Gardens. And it was just like a surreal experience going, wow, like we're here. And it was, yeah, those are my favorite. I know you said one, but both.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I agree with you on those. For me, my favorite though, I have to say, was probably going to Australia, and
Mm-hmm.
it was fun for multiple reasons. One is that you're in Australia and it's amazing, and the beaches are beautiful, and there's so much to do and see there. But also that we were there with family and visiting family that were living there, and so for me, I enjoy that aspect of things so much, like doing things with people I care about,
Yeah.
and so it made it that much more meaningful for me. Um, I've been to Italy and been to France and been to the Bahamas and Bermuda, and
Yeah.
all those were cool in their own way. But for me, that one stood out for those reasons.
Well, and we brought our grandma to Atlantis,
Yes,
and that was just really special to like be with her and get to share. It's interesting. I'm taking a new perspective to different experiences I encounter, like whatever. And it's not necessarily the experience that is special, it's the people you share it with. So the reason Paris was so special is because it was just me and my sister, and we like really grew in our relationship together from it. And Atlantis was with our grandma, like we got to bring our grandma on a very special trip with us. And so yeah, it's definitely like you said, that was your reason for Australia, but it's just who you get to spend it with is so much more valuable than the actual place. So
for sure.
that's why
So
they
I
were
did get a
special.
message from Jamie, and she's so sorry. They have a bad rainstorm, and her internet went down while she was talking to us. So we didn't get to hear her favorite vacation, but we'll have to catch up with her another time for that.
Yeah, but it was so nice having her on. I
It
love
was.
Jamie.
Yes.
And I think that wraps it up for today's dilemma. And we'll catch you guys next week, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, see ya.
Bye.